09.
This is Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM. KGVO, Missoula's news and weather station.
Hey, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Thursday edition of Talkback. Talkback this morning is brought to you by Phillips Janitorial, residential and commercial cleaning. No job too big or small for Phillips. Their number 406-260-6617. Y West Storage out at the Y on Two Smokes Way. If you need storage, here's their number, 406-510-0590. Because at Y West, we are making room for you. 123 Seamless Gutters is family owned and operated, offering free estimates, and they handle everything that has to do with gutters. So, of course, you don't have to. 406-240-2669, protecting the foundation of your future. And by Harrington Surgical Supply. Appointments are preferred for mastectomy fittings, custom compressions, but walk-ins are always welcome.
The views and opinions expressed on Talkback are not those of the staff, management, or advertisers.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good to have you along this morning. I am Peter Christian, and that starts with C, and that stands for a cold. So there you go. And joining us in the studio this morning, poor Nick. Nick is like 42 feet away, so he doesn't catch anything from me. And Nick Christensen is our producer. Good morning, Mr. Nick.
Good morning. I would say like 4 feet, but
no,
sure,
you know,
yeah. I'm screwed. So,
I wish you were 42 feet away. I'm sorry.
Bob's not feeling well either, so
I know,
you guys are going to kill me.
That's right. So well, we're going to gang up on. But Nick is such a healthy guy anyway, and he's so young.
Yeah.
So he's young and fit and strong and all that good stuff. Yes. Anyway, hi, Bob. How you doing?
Peter, good morning. And just a quick note on a personal basis. You said, given how I'm feeling and you are, and folks, you can't see Peter, but he's in his hijab. He's from head to toe covered. He's got the gown. He's got the gloves. He's got the mask. But really, you're right, Peter. We should be at home. But we're not very bright. And we're very dedicated, and we're here to bring some enjoyment and conversation to our friends.
And I will say, I did tell Peter he did not need to come in, so don't think the big bully producer.
I heard you say that.
No.
I heard you say that.
I said it's okay. It's really no problem. But Peter, everyone knows that's listened to the show. Peter is a workaholic, and you can tell you sound better too. I mean, you don't.
I do sound better. Seriously?
Yes, you do.
Oh yeah. You don't sound how you sounded a couple days ago.
Okay.
So I believed you slightly that you said you were feeling well enough. So. Here we are. We're going to do a show live for everybody. You're welcome.
But take care of yourselves out there, folks.
Yes.
It's
let me tell you,
the season.
Whatever is going through out there is a nasty bug.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. I mean, it does not discriminate what part of your body it attacks. Right? Yeah. You can make you in your tummy and in other areas and your throat and your chest and. Hey, where should we go next, guys? They're like on vacation.
Well, that's actually just kind of a great reminder that we're not in control.
I know.
And, big, strong, healthy people, all of a sudden something we can't see, taste, or feel says, I'm going to lay you low, buddy. I'm going to let you know who really is in control. So just little reminders.
Anyway,
Well, I have to offer some apologies. We had a guest today that was going to be here, Mr. Rob Cheney. He wrote a wonderful article on Colstrip. He will be coming back in January. I'll get some dates from Nick.
Right.
But some work situations arose, and he sends his apologies. But Rob won't be with us. So we've got the three of us in open phones for the first hour. But Alli DePuy will be calling in at 9 o'clock. And Alli's somebody that I've known for many years and has a lot of wonderful stories and good information on the education world as it stands right now. So I think you'll find some good and some really kind of forward-leaning type of work that's being done here in the state.
You bet. Well, but we're almost up against our first break, and since this is open phones, if anybody else wants to call to commiserate with Bob and me, I'm sicker than you. Well, you're sicker than me. Well, I'm sicker than you.
It can be Bill Belichick. He's going back to college, and that makes sense. His girlfriend is 23 years old. Perfect environment. But did I say that? No, I'm sorry. Bill Belichick is signed. It's been on ESPN, on First Take.
Right.
The man is back in college, one of the greatest coaches of all times.
Where's he going to be? Is it
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
University of North Carolina.
Going to be a Tar Heel.
Well, yeah, and what does that mean going into the world that he is? That story is yet to be told.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine some little freshman walking up, Coach,
Or
Coach Belichick.
Or how about some senior with that stern look he gives us?
Yeah.
This is a no BS guy.
Right.
I don't know if you guys saw his pitch. I know we're up against the break, but real quick, like he pitched himself to, because everyone's wondering, well, why would he go to college? Well, he said, listen, I know all the people in the NFL. I know what it takes to make the NFL. He's like, this is going to be a situation where I'm going to set it up as like a portal, basically. Like if you come here, I'm going to teach you how to do the right things, what you need to know to get into the NFL, and almost sold it as that. Not, your typical, oh, you can come here and get a good education, or you can come here if you want to win a national championship, or this and this, which obviously he said he's still going to help educate these guys, but geared toward educating them for life after the NFL, plus to help them get there. So for a lot of parents that are out there, former players, you hear that and you're like, ding, ding, ding. I mean, he's kind of selling himself as like, well, I mean,
I'm
if
your
you're
portal.
a kid, yeah, why would you not want to potentially go there? And
He's got a pretty good story to tell.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, he's got the background. So yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out.
Well, I'll tell you what, it is open phone, so if you would like to comment on whatever might be on your mind, give us a call, 721-1290, 1-800-568-5309. Maybe you'd like to compare to see if you're sicker than Bob and me. We could compare, symptoms and all that good stuff. So,
Peter, the world has more important issues than you and I.
Absolutely.
So
it does? Anyway,
I think so.
We're going to come right back after this. Stay with us.
Dennis Bragg with your updated weather. Increasing clouds Thursday, remaining chilly with highs topping out in the mid to upper 30s. Winds will stay calm, but an incoming system will bring a chance of snow overnight, mixing with some rain early Friday morning. That could make the commute icy with lows in the mid to upper 20s. The good news is the chance of precipitation is only 20%. The rest of Friday will be cloudy, then another slight chance of rain and snow Saturday morning, followed by rain in the evening, and again with lows just below freezing, roads could ice up.
Hey, welcome back to Talkback. 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. Peter Christian here, Nick Christensen taking your phone calls, the only healthy person in the room right now. Bob Seidenschwarz also joining us this morning. Nick is going, don't get me sick.
For now.
Don't get me sick.
I do have a quick traffic update for everybody. We just got a call from someone that said I-90 is blocked west of Bonner, that a car flipped over there, and that it looks like it's going to be kind of a while before cleanup happens. So there's going to be quite a big backup there. So there's that entrance right before you get on, or that exit right there. So a lot of people are getting off, he said, at that exit. So I-90 blocked west of Bonner for an accident there. So
yeah, and
hope everyone's okay.
Yeah, I hope everyone's okay too. And it's not even slick yet. We don't have any snow, no ice. Who knows what happened? We just, our prayers and good thoughts go to all the folks involved in that accident, and a big thank you to the first responders who are always, putting themselves in danger, trying to help folks just like us. So, but we have a whole phalanx, if you will, if I could use that word, the great phalanx of people waiting to talk on open phone. So let's get to it. I believe Joe is first. Oh, hang on just a second.
Joe's on.
Oh, Joe's on. Joe, good morning, sir. You're on Talkback. What's up, sir?
Good morning. I got a question for Bob. I think the guy's name is Buttigieg, that's been appointed to be the health secretary, Department of Health and Human Services, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but he was one of the authors of the Great Barrington Resolution, and I think there was 40 authors in there. But during the COVID, you brought some guests on, which I didn't have a lot of faith in, and I think you brought Dr. Fauci to the university, didn't you?
No, that was the Mansfield Center, Joe. They did a kind of a town hall with Dr. Fauci, and I participated along with 1,100 other people listening to Dr. Fauci. But he's not been here in person.
My question is about the guest that you brought from New York. I forget his name, Marcellus.
Dr. Margella.
Yeah, Peter Margella.
Margella. I felt that he got it all wrong. And my question is, do you think you got it wrong?
Can you be more specific as to what I may have gotten wrong?
Why didn't you bring Buttigieg or someone else from that perspective, but you brought this guy that was...
Peter Margella. Peter Margella.
Right.
Margella. Yeah, I didn't have any faith in what he said. But
I respect that.
And you admitted he was wrong, but I'm just asking you, do you think you got it wrong?
But what are you asking that I got wrong? I don't think I gave an opinion specifically.
Why didn't you bring Buttigieg
Well, Joe,
or someone like that.
Joe, I don't know
Yeah?
this gentleman that you're describing, and possibly if I...
He's going to be the new health secretary if he gets
Well, I actually take it as a compliment that you think I can get somebody like him.
Do you know what the Great Barrington Resolution is?
Joe, I don't, and I was going to ask you to enlighten us. But, hey, Joe, I'm not arguing with you. I'm trying to learn and hear what you're saying here.
I think you got it wrong. That's my opinion.
Okay, Joe, thank you very much.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on. Let's get Dave on the line. COVID was how many years ago? Anyway, Dave, good morning, sir. You're on Talkback. What's up?
Yeah, good morning. I'd like to talk about Syria for a moment. The civil war had been going on for 8 years, and now it appears, at least a part of it, Assad is gone, and a group have taken over to speak of. But it appears as though Israel is angry about it. They originally, Israel took over part of Syria as a buffer zone, and it appears that they want more a buffer zone for their buffer zone. And they're bombing the heck out of Syrian military equipment. Mm-hmm. And it just appears as though they are not happy that Assad is gone. And it's kind of confusing to me, because shouldn't they give the new government a chance to be bad before they bomb the crud out of them? I'm just curious. Dave,
lots of good questions in there. Next week, I will have Dr. Mirdad Kia. Mirdad and myself will be on for an hour. He will provide a lot of more in-depth details as to who the different players are. I will tell you, regarding Israel, I don't think they're confused. I think they are doing exactly what they feel they need to do, given the uncertainty that exists right now. Because I will say, as much as I have delved into what the issues are and what may happen, nobody knows what the outcomes are going to be. Israel sees an opportunity here to be able to gain some ground, not take ground, but to set up a buffer zone because of the uncertainty. There's a number of different players. While there's one group that has taken the military lead here, do not mistake the fact that there are a number of different entities, including elements of ISIS. You've got Kurds in there. You've got this organization, which was part of Al-Qaeda. So we don't know yet how this government is going to be formed and what it's going to look like. And Israel sees an opportunity, no matter who comes into power, to set up a situation that gives them the ultimate of what they may be able to do in terms of protection and leverage, depending, of course, on what happens. And we need to remember, too, Israel's not the only one bombing. The United States has had a number of sorties into Syria right now as well, probably well over 100 in terms of, what's going on. You got the backing of the UK and a number of other countries that are supporting the U.S. and by de facto Israel in terms of what they're doing.
That is true. And the Trump administration appears as though it will withdraw its troops from Syria, and which is about 900, and they're pulling back from the world, as it appears to be. And I'm just curious if ISIS is such a threat, and Israel believes it's such a threat. I'm not sure the Trump administration coming up believes ISIS is a big threat. And certainly not, and their process of pulling back from all over the world is going to be interesting to see.
Dave, we have to go to a break here, but I want to continue this conversation with you because you're bringing up several different components that are worthy of some discussion. But I know we need to go to a break. If you can hang on, please.
We'll be right back.
Sure.
Stay with us. We're going to go right back. We also have Nancy, Elena, and Jeff all waiting to visit with us. It's open phones for the first hour, by the way, and a special guest coming up from 9 to 10 with Bob with the Montana World Affairs Council on the radio. Back with more in a moment.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
Hey, we are back. This is Talkback. 721-1290 is our number. And let me tell you, the phone lines are humming for open phones. So let us, we have Dave still on the line. You wanted to finish your conversation with Dave really quickly.
Dave, just a couple of quick comments in terms of Trump. You cannot disengage from the world. The United States is the most important player and is looked to for guidance, leadership, and a number of other reasons. You can say a lot, but let's see what you actually do. The 900 troops that there are important for ISIS, also for protecting the Kurds that are in Syria. The Kurds, as Mirdad has said many times, exist within a wide arc across that region, which really brings into Turkey. Right now, Turkey may be one of the most important players because of their position geographically with Syria. You've got
and their relative stability.
You've got relative stability. You've got 3 million Syrian refugees in Turkey, which is being supported by funds coming from the EU as a member of NATO. So what I'm saying is there's a number of different players here that you really have to go deep into to understand what may be the implications of this. And Russia has been a problem with Turkey in terms of on their flank in certain other areas, which then brings you to a question of Russia is probably the big loser in all of this right now. Their massive mistake in terms of going into Ukraine, their warm water port in Syria, yet to be determined what's going to happen. They've got troops there. This is the worst of situations right now in terms of both how it appears to the rest of the world, as well as the cost militarily and in human tolls with Russia. So a lot going on there, Dave.
Yeah, but you forget that it was also Iran that's a loser, too.
Well, no, I didn't forget, Dave. You just brought it up, and thank you. No, Iran and Russia and, of course, Assad and biggest losers in this situation at the moment, yet to be determined because that game changes pretty darn quick.
I think most of our attacks have been on ISIS rather than on the potential government that might take over.
No, that's correct. Yeah.
All right, Dave,
sure.
Thanks for the call. Lots of folks waiting. We appreciate it. Thanks for your call. Nancy is up next. Good morning, Nancy. You're on Talkback. Thanks for holding.
Oh, thank you, and morning glory, everyone. I have a quick question. But first, I have to say, yes, I'm sick. I'm so sick of the Joe Biden administration. I can hardly wait until January 20th, 2025, when the fix will be Donald J. Trump as our president. But I want to say this, a question. Okay, there's a controversy right now, and Speaker Mike Johnson's at the helm of it. Should we have tax cuts first before we impose higher tariffs on our enemies like China, Canada, and Mexico? Or should it be the other way around? Tariffs first and then the tax cuts. What do you guys think? Thank you so much.
I didn't know Mexico and Canada were our enemies. I could probably agree.
Sure they are. Sure they are.
Well, we're not going to agree on that as our neighbors, and Canada is our most important trading partner. And yeah, you can make some cases with Mexico, but I did not hear that we are enemies with those two countries. So in terms of tariffs, we've already seen that. NBC came over the other day and said we're doing a story on the fact that tariffs are going to be put on China. Now China's threatened to cut off some of our rare earth mineral exports. So, I would like somebody, whoever they may be, to put tariffs and describe to you and I, since we're going to be paying the freight here, what the cost is going to be and what the benefits are. And it's easy to say, it's much harder to do, and generally speaking, it's not the best of strategies. But it does get somebody's attention.
Well, yes, I know this is extremely controversial right now, so I just kind of wanted to hear what you have to say. But yes, I consider both Canada and Mexico enemies because of the open borders, what they have done to us with fentanyl and the crime in our country. They could care less about the United States, and I feel the same way about them. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for your opinion.
Thanks for the call. All right, let's get Elena on the line. Elena, this is an opinion show, so there you go. Elena, good morning. You're on Talkback, ma'am. Thank you for holding.
You're welcome, and good morning, guys. As far as Canada and Mexico, hey, Canada may be the 51st state, remember?
Yeah.
Who knows? But I'm going to bring it back to Missoula today. I don't know if anybody knows of this. When you started off, you mentioned an accident. Nick mentioned an accident on I-90. Well, tonight, the Missoula Department of Public Works and Mobility, they're hosting a virtual public open house from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And they're going to exchange thoughts with the public on the future of the city's transportation projects, including Reserve Street Plan.
Yeah, the Reserve Street Corridor project, I did a story on it a couple of weeks ago. The Reserve Street Corridor program is immense. It's going to take years, and they're trying to figure out ways. The Reserve Street Bridge is the big problem, because the Reserve Street Bridge is what it is. You know, it's very, I can't imagine what it would try to be like to expand it or make it wider or whatever for more lanes. But yeah, that bridge and that whole Reserve Street corridor is under great scrutiny right now with the changes that, you know, the planners and people that, you know, try to keep people safe on the highways are trying to figure out.
Peter, remember when Reserve Street was 2 lanes?
Yep.
God.
I do.
And I don't even think it was that bad. And then, you know, make it, build it, and they will come. And wow, they made it bigger, and more people and more businesses. And, you know, it's like there's a solution. The solution solves a problem. Then more businesses, more homes come in. Another problem. Here's another solution. It's never ending. But when I mentioned a couple of weeks ago the village of Bronxville, it's still a village, and they know how to control growth in that village, even though it's surrounded by major, huge cities. They know how to control it.
Elena, first, I want to offer congratulations on your election. Peter informed me of that, so I say kudos to you. And when you're talking about this topic, what are some of the examples of how they control it? Because, look, I've been here 50 years, and driving down 93 with 2 lanes was never fun, and 4 lanes is a heck of a lot better. And how do you stop people from coming to places in an open country where you and I are free to move around as opportunity presents itself?
Because you have the city of Missoula, you have the county of Missoula, you have zoning. And you don't go with these, programs that we're going to have affordable homes. Because if you do that, more people are going to come. You don't. You limit it. And that's how, nobody's stopping you. People are already here. If I have a house and I want to sell it to you, fine. If there isn't available, you're just going to have to live someplace else. That's the fact of life. Because Missoula, I came from New York to get away from New York City. Seeing how Manhattan, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Staten Island, oh my God, it used to be country. There were only bungalows on Staten Island.
That was 50 years ago.
Longer than that.
Yeah, right. I'm a Long Island kid, so you and I can talk the same talk here, okay? But we got to go to a break.
Long Island.
Yeah, yes, Long Island, Suffolk County. So yeah, we got to go to a break here, but we'll have our talk sometime. We can talk.
Thanks, Elena, and again, congratulations on your election. We're going to come right back. Jeff, Harry, and Candy are all waiting. It's open phones for another 28 minutes or so. We'll be right back.
When you buy...
Dennis Bragg with your updated weather. Increasing clouds Thursday, remaining chilly with highs topping out in the mid to upper 30s. Winds will stay calm, but an incoming system will bring a chance of snow overnight, mixing with some rain early Friday morning. That could make the commute icy with lows in the mid to upper 20s. The good news is the chance of precipitation is only 20%. The rest of Friday will be cloudy, then another slight chance of rain and snow Saturday morning, followed by rain in the evening, and again with lows just below freezing, roads could ice up.
We're having a dandy of a time on Talkback this morning. Bob Seidenschwarz joining us here in the studio we have open phones, and man, you guys are just climbing on board here this morning. Jeff has been waiting the longest. Jeff, you are up. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, all. Good morning, Missoula. Your comment on Bill Belichick, the Babylon Bee beat you to it. They had a article that says that Bill Belichick agrees to the UNC job on the condition he can live in his girlfriend's dorm.
Womp, 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 womp. I say God bless, Jeff, right?
Yeah. Regarding Syria, you would think that someone who is a student of history, even an amateur, would know that it hasn't been going on for 8 years. It's been going on for almost 12. Actually started under President Obama. when they had their Arab Spring moment in Syria, and he refused to give them any support. And so that civil war started under the hopes that they could overthrow Assad back in 2011, and it's been going on ever since. So as a former military person, if you don't know what the situation is and you have an opportunity to get rid of a potential enemy's weapon stores, why would you not do that? That's the only thing. Either do it now. It's kind of like the old Meineke commercial. You can either pay me now or you can pay me later. And later is always more expensive. So that was just wisdom on the part of the Israelis to do that. So,
Jeff,
Elena also.
Go ahead, please. I was just going to ask.
Elena brought up a point.
Go ahead, Jeff, please.
Jeff, go ahead.
Okay. Elena brought up a point with housing that all we have to do is stop building. That's what got Missoula into this problem in the first place, is not building enough. I listened to Pat Barkey, and he said multiple times in many of his Montana Economic Minutes that if you want to decrease the cost of housing, build more housing. People are going to come to Missoula. That's not even an option. Elena came, Bob, you came, my family came in 1963. We lived on the south end of Reserve Street, the last two blocks that most people don't even know about because it originally didn't connect to the other Reserve Street, and it's south of the Oaks supermarket there. But that's where we lived. And so, I can remember when that whole area was a big field and we used to go play there. But it's not that anymore. People are coming. You got to get ready for it. So, but on a lighter note, to finish up real quick, are you too old to shovel snow? This is the worry of the week. That Beaumont cardiologist, Dr. Barry Franklin, says that you should not be shoveling snow if you're over the age of 45.
Really?
So I think we need, there's an article out there on Fox that says that, if you were born in the 70s, which I was born in the 50s, you may be nearing the age that doctors recommend you stop shoveling snow, as it could lead to health dangers, including a possible heart attack. So I suggest we all hire Nick to do all of our snow shoveling, and because she's young and healthy and fit.
Yeah, there you go. But it's going to cost you.
Well, here's the problem. You guys don't realize I've already signed Nick to a multi-year contract for snow removal. So you guys are out of luck.
Well, that's fine. Way to jump on that opportunity, Peter. More power to you.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, Jeff, a couple of just quick comments on when you mentioned Israel. I don't know that Israel ever imagined a situation that they're able to now move aggressively and progressively in the way that they have, with Syria falling, Hamas, Iran's land bridge being interrupted, Hezbollah. I don't know that a year ago, if you would have asked anybody probably in the administration in Israel, would these opportunities have come their way? And of course, what would they do? That they probably would have said, we got this all ready for planning purposes. It's an incredible moment that may change the dynamic in that region, but least we forget, they may make progress in the areas I just described. They still have to deal with issues at home. The Palestinians are not going away, and Gaza's not going away, and the West Bank's not going away, and the craziness of the Orthodox Party.
Jerusalem's still a divided city.
Right, but it is a moment in time, historically, where with the leadership and foresight, it could be a complete game changer.
Yes, it could. And one of the things we need to remember, and the enemy of my enemy may not be my friend. The enemy of my enemy may still be my enemy. So because you lost one bad guy doesn't mean there's not 3 or 4 others ready to take his place. So Assad's gone. Let's see what happens.
It's not checkers, it's chess.
Yes.
So, yeah. Hey,
thanks, Jeff.
Jeff, thanks for the call. We're up against a break. We're coming right back. We have Harry, Candy, and John all waiting to visit with. Hey, it's open phones. What's on your mind this morning? 721. You want to make fun of the way Bob and I are talking because of our colds? That's fine too. 721-1290. We'll be back right after this.
Thinking about retirement? Make sure My Social Security account is a part of your plan. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can find out if you're eligible to receive benefits, compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates, view spousal benefit estimates, and more. Plan for your future. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Hey, welcome back to Talk Back, everybody. Good to have you along this morning. It is Open Phones. I'm Peter Christian. Bob Seidenschwarz joining us in the studio. Nick Christensen, as always, producing Talk Back. And getting Harry on the line. Harry, good morning, sir. Thank you for holding.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. First of all, just for Elaine, there's two ways I can think of to stop growth. One is to make things place so expensive that only very few people can afford to live there. And the second, or opposed to that, is make it so awful that nobody wants to live there, that it's so terrible that, it's like, say, just quit picking up garbage, let the garbage sit, quit fixing the streets, just makes it so awful that nobody wants to move there. That's only two ways I can think of stopping growth. But anyway, what I wanted to call for, or originally called for, is talk about the incoming Trump administration. The thing is, I think about it is that it's easier to break things than it is to fix them. And you got people coming in who claim they want to break it. They talk about. With that cash guy, with the FBI, he said he wants to pretty much, gut it. He thinks they're awful. They're a bunch of deep state people, and all this. Same with several other of them. They're talking about before they were, chosen or chose to be, nominated or whatever. They were claiming they wanted to destroy that whatever they were going to be ahead of. So. Right now they're no, I'm not going to do that. But then people lie. So I mean, it's like I say, it's easy to break things, but it's a heck of a lot harder to fix things. And if they get in there and say the guy does start just firing, coming in the willy-nilly firing everybody, they think that could be possible deep state people. The FBI will be so weak that you don't think the terrorists that are, well, I don't know even if they're out there, but the ones that supposedly snuck across the border, if they're waiting for a chance to start doing some attacks, don't you think that'd be a perfect chance to do it if there's so much chaos in the FBI that they can't hunt people down?
Well, I will tell you, the one thing that people don't understand is the immense power of civil service. Mm-hmm. We spent some time in Washington, D.C. when I was a kid, and my dad worked for he was a Marine, but he worked basically with civil service people all the time. They are impossible to fire because they have this immense, huge union that is able to just to lobby for them and do all sorts of things. And they're all over Washington, D.C. And that's one of the reasons why, if you talk to people who, like senators and congressmen, so few people actually ever show up for work because they don't have to.
Yeah, but if they start firing people, then they take it to court. I mean, it gums everything up. Then nothing gets done then. I mean, and then you have, especially you say, well, you start just laying people off left and right. Okay, say, well, you can't do that. You're going to take us to court. Well, what happens then? Nobody does nothing because it's in court. So
it'll be all gummed up. Yeah,
grind to a halt, and that's not our nation. People don't think the government does anything. Well, wait until it doesn't.
Gridlock.
Then they'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Harry, the great late British Empire without its bureaucrats and civil servants would not have functioned. One of the great lessons: the guy who is keeping the ledger has more power sometimes than the king.
Yeah. Like I say, people think the government doesn't do anything. Wait until it doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
then you'll see.
All right.
I don't think they'll be very happy about it.
Thanks, Harry. Appreciate it, buddy. Candy is up next. Candy, thank you for holding so long. We appreciate it. What's on your mind?
Yes. Good morning. There was a commercial for the nonprofits Tuesday, Giving Tuesday, and you referred to the election as bruising. The bruising election. Well, who did the bruising? Maybe it was the lies about the 20 million deaths from COVID, the lies about the 2 billion injuries to do with COVID, and the lies about Trump, the lies about everything. That was bruising. That is a bruising election. And because these
it doesn't have to be that way.
Pardon me?
I said it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't, because now we're going to get some truth. And but the lies about the border, the lies about everything, they lied. Biden and those people in charge, the Democrats, no, they're not Democrats. They're evil people. They were evil people, and they lied about everything. And I have a quote from John Adams. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Virtue are the foundations of our republic and necessary for a society to be free. We're going back to the Constitution, and these people will face retribution, I guess.
All right.
Their lies.
Candy, thank you for the call. We appreciate it. Let's move on and get John on the line next. John, good morning. Thank you for holding. You're on Talkback.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, sir. What's up?
Hey, so I don't know if you guys remember Dr. Dr. Prine, Percy Prine, he owned a lot of that land out there by the peak. Okay. And this has been years ago.
Okay.
He was going to donate some of that land to do a bypass, around Missoula out to the Y.
Wow.
And the city, and Missoula shot that idea down because they said that they wanted people to go through Missoula to do their shopping and do all their stuff, and that would deter people from, driving through Missoula, and the businesses would
they would suffer.
They would suffer from that. So now they're, when they built the 4 lanes, they're on Reserve Street. That was outdated 10 years when they got the 4 lanes done, if that's the way they were going to, route traffic through town. You look at any other city here in Montana, they're all putting bypasses in. Look what it did to Kalispell, Great Falls.
Right.
I don't know why they're trying to, fix Reserve Street when the solution should be reroute it, because people that are coming from the Bitterroot to head north to get on the I-90, or people that are on I-90 to deliver stuff in the Bitterroot, they don't want to go through town, and you got industrial part on the north side of town, so they have to drive all the way down Reserve Street to get southbound, and then the other question, or the other thing that I had is they're talking about the government and the FBI. We've lost accountability and liability for, we've gotten away from that. So we don't pursue that, that liability or the accountability to these agencies, whether it's government, whether it's parents with their kids. We've gotten away from all of that, and everybody seems to think it's fine.
All right. Well, John, thank you for your call. We're up against a break. We're going to come right back. We'll visit with Andy when we return. We have a few phone lines open for open phones, and then we'll have the Montana World Affairs Council on the radio with Bob Seidenschwarz from 9 to 10. So we'll be back right after this quick timeout. We are back on Talkback. 721-1290 is our number. Nick Christensen right over there taking your phone calls. He's been a very busy guy today. Thanks to you all with your open phone calls this morning. And, of course, Bob Seidenschwarz here in the studio. Andy is up next. Andy, good morning, and thank you so much for holding.
Thanks for taking my call. I'd like to just give a few my thoughts on this Syria-Israeli business. Netanyahu wrote a book years ago on terrorism where he stated the only way Israel would be safe is if they changed all the leaders of the Arabs. And the first one was Saddam Hussein, and then he's been continuing along. And the only reason he can do this is because the United States is so connected to Israel and supports them. And that's because of the Israel lobby. You can check. It's really powerful, and it gives the Democrats and Republicans. It doesn't make any difference. So I think Benjamin Netanyahu especially is committing genocide on all these people. And we're helping them. And I think it would be a good idea if we stop thinking about us and them as we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. There's good guys in China, Russia, Israel, Palestine. I just thought I'd throw that out and see what you have to say.
All right. Thanks for the call, Bob. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I can speak for myself, but also people I know that have been on the show, that we can hold two separate thoughts at once, which is Israel has a right to protect itself, especially when you understand who is aligned against it, when you look at Iran, Hezbollah, and various other entities. That doesn't dismiss their responsibility, as I said earlier today, internally in terms of how they treat certain elements of their population. West Bank, Gaza, the Palestinians. That issue has to, in some capacity, be resolved in a manner that gives people ownership, that gives people some ability to feel a part of something that doesn't exist right now. If that does not happen, you will continue to have this fight for decades to come.
You bet. Let's get Dave is back for another quick comment. We have just a couple of minutes, Dave. What's up?
Yeah, about the FBI. You know, there's talk of shutting down the headquarters in Washington. I've been told by the FBI agent that there are 6,000 experts, scientists who work there, and 1,000 agents. Now, if you shut it down, those experts are going to be spread all over the place or even quit. I mean, this is dangerous to the potential ability of the FBI to do their job. So I question the approach to fixing something that may not be really broken.
Dave, is anybody, excuse my ignorance, is anybody actually saying they want to shut the FBI down or just get a leader in the FBI that's going to be more amenable to the administration's needs?
The person who's up for to be voted on,
Kash Patel.
He wants to turn the headquarters of the FBI into a museum. That's what he has said on the air at Fox. So that's his plan, if that's what he has said anyway. And so I question his ability to fix the FBI.
Well, hopefully our good senators and others will be asking these kind of questions.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's got to be a lot of checks and balances out there. And remember, Dave, you've been around a long time. People say a lot of you know what, but actually doing it is a whole different type of situation.
Yeah, and, you know, there's talk of throwing people in prison or for investigating Trump. I would like to know what the charges would be. I mean, just investigating a president would get you thrown in jail is a real dangerous move.
All right, Dave. Well, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. All right. So this has been a very, very fruitful conversation on Talkback this morning. At Open Phones, you guys are hitting it out of the park, as you always do. Really appreciate it. And we just got about a minute left. Now, if you wouldn't mind filling us real quick on our guest coming up in the 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah, Alli DePuy is a wonderful individual that I've worked with for well over a decade. She is the head of Inspired Classroom. Alli's going to give us a full briefing on what that is and how that has fit within the complex of the Montana World Affairs Council for the very key programs that she is intimately involved with, including having been down in Bozeman for EconoQuest. So we're going to be discussing some of the programs and how it's being implemented that are game changers for the kids here in the state of Montana. So when we're looking at the future, those kids are the future.
You
so
bet.
how are we preparing them for that?
You bet. And the kids are smarter than ever, let me tell you.
Yes.
And so the future looks bright. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break, come right back. 721-1290 will be our number when we return with the Montana World Affairs Council on the radio.
This is Talkback 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309.
This is Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM. KGVO, Missoula's news and weather station.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. It's hour number 2 of Talkback for this Thursday, December the 12th. Talkback this morning brought to you by 123 Seamless Gutters, family owned and operated with gutter installations, repairs, and more. Their number, 406-240-2669. They're protecting the foundation of your future. Phillips Janitorial, that can clean both your home and your business. No job is too big or small for Phillips. 406-260-6617. If you need storage, Y West has a storage unit for you. They're out on Two Smokes Way. Give them a call at 406-510-0590. They're making room for you. And also by Harrington Surgical Supply, where you can feel confident in their discreet and knowledgeable guidance on a multitude of products and medical supplies.
The views and opinions expressed on Talkback are not those of the staff, management, or advertisers.
Okay, here we are. It is, we just finished with open phones. Now we have a special segment, the Montana World Affairs Council on the radio with Bob Seidenschwarz joining us this morning. And, of course, Nick Questions and taking your phone calls. Good morning again, Mr. Nick.
Good morning.
Been very busy so far today. And we have a special guest on the phone, Bob.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to introduce Alli DePuy from Inspired Classroom. And as I'm going to ask Alli to give a little bit of a background on her career, her work, and what leads up to the relationship that I've had the privilege of enjoying for well over a decade. We may be talking about a topic when I think about all the different calls that we had today and what people were introducing for discussion. Ultimately, we're talking in terms of right here in our own backyard, the future of Montana and what that may look like. And maybe there's nothing more important than talking about what and how we're preparing that future for our students, for those that are going to come through our schools, wish to stay in Montana, maybe move away and come back. What may that future look like? And the work that Alli and the council have been doing for a number of years to help the students in this state prepare for this. So, Mrs. DePuy, I want to welcome you to Talkback, and thank you so much for filling in on very short notice, as our guest was unable to make it today. So my pleasure to introduce you, Alli, and give us a little background on who you are and the business and working relationship that you've had with the council for a decade.
I promise we will make people raise their hands.
Yeah, there'll be a quiz too, right, Peter? Yeah. So, Alli,
good. Well,
it's all yours.
Notes in I've got my grade book. I've got my grade book out. So this could be interesting.
We'll take attendance.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, good. Thank you so much for having me. Like Bob said, my name is Alli, and I am the CEO and founder of Inspired Classroom. And Inspired Classroom is a company that helps businesses and organizations that want to have a big impact in their community or within their sphere of influence. And I help them do that through education. Like Bob said, our relationship goes back, a decade, which when I think back to what Inspired Classroom looked like a decade ago, it has certainly changed, as many businesses do as they grow and they overcome different struggles and figure out really what's needed. Bob and I met, in like a big warehouse about, about 10 years ago.
I remember that,
and
yes. Yeah.
I know. And I remember the World Affairs Council was just really getting started with some education outreach programs. And at the time, video conferencing was brand new on the scene, especially in schools. And so this is before the days of Zoom, where you go to your computer, click a button, and the world is right there. This is where you had these gigantic wall-sized units that you needed to connect to another person, and it really felt like magic. It's funny to think that only 10 years ago this was still a new technology. And at the time, I had stopped teaching in a traditional sense and was working with organizations and businesses to help them connect to a broader audience. And one of the ways I was doing that was with video conferencing. And so this was the very, very inception of my relationship with the council. And we would bring speakers in, and as we used to say, we'd beam them across the state of Montana right into classrooms. Which, looking back on that today, it was really innovative at the time, but now it's kind of funny to look back and chuckle and think that that was the extent of what we were doing with the council. So over the years, that has grown, that has shifted. I work with lots of different partners in lots of different sectors. I've got a business accelerator that I work with. I work with ecologists and biologists. I work with the economists. I work with art museums. I work with federal agencies. And so it looks a little bit different for each and every one of my clients, but really it's all the same. It is, how do we take the amazing things that are happening and how do we push them out into the world to multiply impact?
Right. And Alli, I think it's worth mentioning, too, that for people listening to this, it's very important for them to understand Montana World Affairs Council is a nonpartisan organization. We do our very best to stay in that middle ground, with the objective being bringing the world to Montana, educating our students, doing distinguished speaker programs so that we have a better sense of where our connections are. And that's what you've been doing for a long time. And there's another story here, which is we went through some tough times. And Inspired Classroom, every time it came up for, should we renew our contract with Inspired Classroom? And great people said, my gosh, can we afford this? And my answer always would be, we can't afford not to. Because we recognized that the partnership had a future. We didn't know quite what that future may be, but many people listening who are in business will relate to this, that they understand the work begins at the toughest time. So, Alli, we're going to go to a break right now, and when we come back, I'll have you give a little bit of insight to that, because I think that's really quite important.
This is really cool, because the kids are in school right now. Right. So they can't bother us.
That's right.
Just kidding. 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. If you have a question or a comment for Alli DePuy, give us a call, and 721-1290, and we'll be right back after this quick timeout.
In a world of complicated... Dennis Bragg with your updated weather. Increasing clouds Thursday, remaining chilly with highs topping out in the mid to upper 30s. Winds will stay calm, but an incoming system will bring a chance of snow overnight, mixing with some rain early Friday morning. That could make the commute icy with lows in the mid to upper 20s. The good news is the chance of precipitation is only 20%. The rest of Friday will be cloudy, then another slight chance of rain and snow Saturday morning, followed by rain in the evening, and again with lows just below freezing, roads could ice up.
We are back on Talk Back at the Montana World Affairs Council on the radio. Bob Seidenschwarz here in the studio with us, and Alli DePuy is with us. Now, Alli, where specifically are you located right now, ma'am?
Well, right now, I'm in Missoula, Montana.
Oh, you are? Okay,
so
great.
I'm your neighbor, yes.
Oh, fabulous. Yep. Wonderful.
So, Alli, we closed before the break. I had posed a question to you that really is about vision. And that's an issue that permeates itself through every discussion we seem to have. What is that vision? So as I described those challenges in our early years, tell us and go a little bit more in depth as far as how that relationship developed to bring us to the point now where these programs are really taking off.
Absolutely. Well, Bob, it's a great question. And this is a question that is really critical to all of my clients. And it's where I start with anybody whenever I bring on a new client, or even if I'm working with somebody like the council that I've worked with for over a decade. We really want to figure out, what is your mission, what are your values, and what are your goals? And with the council, it's bringing the world to Montana and Montana to the world. And the Montana World Affairs Council, so the World Affairs Council, as you know, is a large network of councils. There's some in almost every single state. I believe there's just over 90 councils across the United States. And we're very unique in the fact that we are one of the only statewide councils. And so that poses some really interesting challenges for the council, but also some wonderful opportunities. And part of that is, how do we reach people across the entirety of this vast, vast state? So when I started talking with the World Affairs Council many years ago, we wanted to figure out, well, what really is the heart of the Montana World Affairs Council? And one thing kept percolating up, and that was helping the next generation of Montanans see their place in the world and in Montana, because Montana is an incredible, wonderful state, and it is very connected to worldwide events and world markets. And a lot of times, as Montanans, we don't learn about that, or we don't know about that. We have to dig a little bit deeper to see those connections. And so how do we, as a council, start to inform, inspire, and ignite action around the fact that we are connected to the rest of the world? And I think that was sort of one of those guiding light moments where we said, okay, well, what is it that we're going to do, and how can we make these actions follow that course? And so that's like half of it. The other half was, if we're really focusing on not just adults, but also student engagement, then we need to understand that audience, and we need to understand what they need in the school setting, what they're capable of doing, and how they're going to do that, and how they're going to engage. And so those are some of the big questions that we started to ask, and we really kept that as our guiding light over the years. And one of the beautiful things about that is, once you decide where you're headed with things, then funding starts to fall in place. You can find the people that are excited to support your cause as well, and they start to jump on board. And it's like a little bit of a waterfall effect. Everything just comes into place. And so I think that's where we're at right now with the council. And we have grown this program. I believe that currently we are serving 45 of our 56 counties. We have an ambitious goal that within the next 2 years we will be serving all 56 counties in Montana.
Now, just a quick question, Alli. What is your relationship with the local school districts? I know that there are metropolitan school districts in Billings and Bozeman and Missoula, and of course the rural school districts. I speak with Elsie Arnson all the time. There are over 400 school districts, and the majority of them are way out there in places like Valier and Roundup, and they have small schools with very small budgets, and everybody. There's challenges everywhere.
Great questions, Peter.
Yes. Oh, that is okay. You've just hit on one of my favorite talking points. So cut me off, please, if I go a little crazy.
It's all yours. We have about 3 minutes till a break, so go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I'll talk fast. No. Okay. So because Montana is so vast, it takes a lot to get to those communities, and it takes a lot to get those rural communities involved. And I tell anybody that's excited to work with our Montana schools that the number one thing is relationship building, especially in eastern Montana. Western Montana and eastern Montana are they're really different places, and you need to get to know everybody, and that actually means physically meeting people and with a handshake, which is challenging. But once you establish that relationship, it's incredible what can happen and where you can go from there. So we realize that schools are struggling. They're struggling everywhere. There is a teacher shortage. There are budget cuts. There's a lot of pressure from outside sources on what and how and when and all the things in regards to teaching. And so how do we engage with those communities? Well, one of the things we did this fall was a 2-week road trip across the state of Montana. I think we went over, I think it was over 3,500 miles just within our state. And we traveled to communities that are teeny tiny, that very, very rarely get visitors and guest speakers. And we brought 2 speakers. We brought the Director of Commerce, Paul Green, for the first week. And the second week, we had former Ambassador Robert Loftus come and speak with students. And boy, it's pretty incredible when you pull up to one of those schools. We had a school in Reed Point, Montana, say, gosh, we oftentimes feel forgotten about. We've never had anybody come and offer us an opportunity like this. And the same with schools in Fraser and Lambert, Ekalaka. I mean, these are places that are not easy to get to. And so we work hard to build relationships with schools, and we also listen to our schools. We have teacher advisory committees. We never put forth programming without consulting our teachers. We actually have a student advisory committee. We have interns, and a lot of our interns are virtual. They're from high school, so they can be anywhere in the state, and that allows leadership positions for students as well as participation in our programs. So,
Alli, I need to interrupt you because we have to go to a commercial break. But
she was just on a roll, man.
Yeah, and I remember everything you said. From when we come back, I'm going to ask you for some very specific examples of how this kind of came about and why it's important to us. But we cannot forget the Energizer Bunny, Nikki Geisler. This is the executive director, an amazing person, and this trip is a big deal, and we'll tell more of this story when we come back from the break.
And by the way, the phone lines are open at 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309. If this sparks your interest, you want to talk with Alli, give us a call, 721-1290. We'll come right back after this timeout.
Montana State News Network.
I'm Dennis Bragg. The start of the Montana legislative session is still a month away, but the storm clouds are already gathering over Helena, spurred by the ongoing fight between lawmakers and the Supreme Court. The latest thunderclap came yesterday when the court refused to issue a preliminary injunction stopping a Missoula County case challenging the so-called gender change bill from going to trial this coming year. That brought an immediate response from the president-elect of the Montana State Senate, Matt Regier, who blasted the justices for being activists out of control.
Once again, our Montana Supreme Court has ruled with radical liberals at the expense of common sense. Our Montana children should not be going through irreversible transgender surgeries.
Critics of SB 99 have said surgeries are extremely rare. The bill also blocks minors from accessing hormones, puberty blockers, and would penalize doctors and clinics for dispensing them to treat gender dysphoria. Missoula police now saying it was a 53-year-old pedestrian who was struck and killed on a busy city street Tuesday night. Police say the victim was struck in a crosswalk by an unloaded semi, and the truck didn't stop, continuing down Brook Street. Officers later found the truck and detained the driver, although he was released without charges being filed while the investigation continues. We all have our Montana bucket list, and so do visitors. Places like Glacier and Yellowstone, ski destinations like Whitefish and Big Sky. You might not think of a Montana concert venue, but a new list says we should, as Will Gordon explains.
Is Montana's best bucket list attraction fascinating or kind of weird? Love Exploring came out with a list of America's best bucket list attractions, and Montana had exactly one spot on the list. Was it Yellowstone or Glacier National Park? Was it Big Sky Resort? Was it Flathead Lake? Actually, no, it was none of those things. Montana's best bucket list attraction is the Kettlehouse Amphitheater in Bonner. This incredible music venue hosts awesome shows from late spring to early fall every single summer. But is it Montana's best bucket list attraction? In Bozeman, Will Gordon, Montana News Network.
I'm Ben Affleck, and I want to thank you for joining me and supporting Paralyzed Veterans of America. I joined the Navy to serve my country. While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open, and I broke my neck.
Thanks to PVA, paralyzed veterans are getting specialized medical care and treatments, the jobs they want, and the accessible vehicles and homes they need.
I just don't think my family would be as happy as they are without the support that I received from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Learn more at PVA.org.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is, my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Talkback. 721-1290 is our number. It's the Montana World Affairs Council on the radio. Mr. Bob Seidenschwarz joining us here in the studio this morning, and we are privileged once again to have with us Alli DePuy. She is, we're talking about secondary and high school education and all of the things that you are so devoted to with your various programs.
Right. Well, thank you, Peter. And this is Alli is the CEO of Inspired Classroom, which is so central to the programs that the council has and the partnership and relationship we have. And for the folks that are out there listening to this conversation, you should be calling and asking Alli and myself, well, why does this matter to me? Why is this important in the very issues that typically come up on this program, looking into the future? And we're going to talk about what we hear from the students, what their concerns are, how they see the world, and the importance of these programs of opening up opportunities to them. But Alli, I want you to really, just for a couple of minutes here, talk about a really amazing person, which is Nikki Geisler. Nikki is the executive director of the council. She is still very much in the learning curve, but I will tell you, without her energy and dedication, the distances that you traveled, the schools that you visited, the counties that you've been to, would not have happened. So give a little bit of insight as to that relationship that you have with Nikki.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, Nikki is one of my all-time favorite people. And you are right. I think you referred to her as the Energizer Bunny. I think that might be her new nickname.
Mm-hmm.
She pours everything into the council and is really focused on growing the programming, but also building those relationships. And one of the things that I admire most about Nikki, and I think one of the reasons that we work so well together, is that she not only has the energy, but also listens, and she listens to what people need. And that is really important, especially when you're dealing with a state as large as Montana, where one size doesn't always fit all. And so going on the road trips that I mentioned before the break, that's a way to sit down, meet with students, meet with teachers where they're at, because it's one thing to bring students to Missoula or to Bozeman, where we have two of our flagship programs, but to go out into their community and to see their school and to listen to the struggles that they have or the needs or the hopes, that's an entirely different thing. And Nikki brings so much to the council. She does that not just with the youth programming, but also with the distinguished speaker programs and the adult programming as well. And in the last 6 months has really worked to expand our programming, not just from Bozeman, but over to Billings and up into Whitefish and Helena. So I really feel like we are truly a statewide organization.
Now, Alli, Peter here with a quick question for you. Is this program specifically only for public schools, or can private or parochial or Christian schools take part in all this? How does that work?
Let's see how I can put this. We're nonpartisan, we're nonprofit, and we are
non-denominational.
School. Yes, non-denominational.
Right.
So anybody can participate. We have all of the above.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Alli, I want to, kind of continue the conversation in terms of several things that you've said here. And I want to recognize, whether it's Robert or Richard Bocher, or a number of folks that have served U.S. interests overseas as ambassadors, consul generals, captains of business. They've taken time out of their lives because they've recognized the programs that are in place that will act as prototypes. And that's something I think we should be proud of here in Montana. These programs are being looked at by others in states that don't have this. So we're really an incubator, showing not just Montana, but the rest of the country what could be really game-changing types of programs. And if you get feedback and conversations with some of these folks, share with us some of what they have said to you about opportunities that have come about as results of their visit here and how their eyes have been opened as well. Now, Allie, I'm going to ask you to
tell
say
you what.
that because we got to go to a break.
Yeah, we're a minute away from a break, so I want to give you plenty of time to stretch this out and fully explain all the good things that you want to share with us. So we're going to come right back. Phone lines are open, by the way. It's 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309. Our guest is Alli DePuy. She's CEO of Inspired Classroom, and we're getting a lot of great information here, so we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. This is Talkback. 721-1290 is our number. Nick Christensen right over there taking your phone calls this morning. And Bob Seidenschwarz here in the studio with the Montana World Affairs Council. Alli DePuy, CEO of Inspired Classroom. Continue, please.
Alli, I gave you your assignment, so you are on. Go ahead.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, thank you so much. So I don't think that we can talk about any of these people in particular unless we talk about some of the programming that the Montana World Affairs Council does. And I'm going to start with our some of our student and school programming. And so one program that has really exploded in the last few years is a program called EconoQuest. And the way this program got started, probably about 5 years ago, Bob, you came to me and you said, Alli, I have this idea. I want to share sort of my lifetime of work in the financial industry. I'm thinking economics. I'm not entirely sure what that looks like, but I've got a contact for you to talk to. And you introduced me to Michael Klein from Tufts, who's also the executive director of EconoFact, which is another very wonderful nonprofit. And we started talking and we started thinking about what could an economic program for students look like. Well, at the same time, Nikki Geisler was having other conversations, and she was having conversations first off with our teachers. So we always ask the teachers, what do you need? How can we help whenever we get them together? And the teachers said, there's been some legislation that has come down that says we have to teach economics. And in order for our schools to keep those accreditations, economics has to be a part of it. Well, amidst budget cuts, amidst teacher shortages, guess who's going to teach economics? We are. And so these were predominantly a group of social studies teachers. And so they said, we need help. We don't have materials. We don't have tools. We don't have the resources. But we need to teach this. And so we said, okay, all right, this is good information. And at the same time, again, it was really kind of this perfect storm. The Department of Congress and the Montana state government said, we need workforce development. We don't know how to do that. We don't know how to do that and work with the schools to get workforce development into the hands of the students, because we are exploding with opportunities and really high-paying opportunities within the state of Montana. And we just simply don't have the workforce. And I think part of it is that students don't necessarily know what some of these careers are. They don't know what photonics is or semiconductors, or that there's a blossoming industry within the state of Montana. And so we had these three factions really come together at a very critical time. And so Nikki turned to me and she said, okay, Alli, what are we going to do? And I said, all right, Nikki, let's figure this out.
Where do I begin? Yeah, go ahead.
Where do I begin? How does this all weave together into a beautiful blanket? So what we started to do is we created EconoQuest. And EconoQuest is a 2-day economics and career-focused conference for high school students. Prior to the conference, students are going through a pre-learning experience where they take a look at industries in the state of Montana. They choose one, and from that industry, they either take an existing company or product, or they come up with their own, and they take it through different economic concepts. So things like supply and demand, opportunity cost, international trade. Mm-hmm. We also have a region or country of focus each year, and that changes. And so the students are taking this product, learning about how the economics, especially around international trade, work, and then they are proposing how to trade this with that country or region of focus. So they have to learn about their target audience. They have to learn about why this country might be interested in Montana-made goods. And then you think about this sort of as a science fair, but for international trade and economics. So students come with these poster presentations ready to go. And I'm going to use the word poster lightly. One of our teams this year made probably a 6 by 10 foot replica of some agricultural machinery referred to as Big Bud, and their pitch was, Big Bud, India's Bud. And it was the idea was that this machine could really help agriculture in India. And this is a machine that is manufactured and developed in Montana. And so they actually came with a replica instead of a poster. Their information was on this tractor. So it's really fun. So students come to this conference, the symposium. Part of it is presenting to judges, and judges are from state government. They are ambassadors and former ambassadors. They are experts from the field. This year we had the Indian Consulate General from Seattle come over, and he was one of the final judges. We have speakers, and then we also do things like career spotlights and luncheons where we bring in industry leaders to sit with students during meals and just have really open, candid conversations with the students about what they're interested in and what their field holds and how that opportunity might fit with their goals as they are looking at the next stage of their life after high school. So it's pretty cool.
Alli, and because of my familiarity, I can pick up on several things that you're saying here. We do this very strategically. So when you mentioned that Consul General Gupta was here, he's not just here for the competition, which is wonderful. Think about 150 kids meeting the Indian Consul General, having conversations. We're also doing this strategically because who does a Consul General then meet with? He goes to meet with the governor. He's talking about business trade. He's talking about cultural exchanges. So what we've done here with this EconoQuest and with our programs is connect our commercial, our intellectual, our educational, and, of course, the advancement of Montana businesses as it relates to trade of goods and services. So we are connecting a lot of different organizations who live in their own silos. And now they're saying you would be surprised that some very smart people had their eyes opened as to the interconnectedness of these different types of variables that I'm describing. Is that correct, Alli?
Oh, it is. And I'm going to speak the praises again of Nikki on this one because she really, and it goes back to those relationships. She has relationships in so many different public and private sectors that she's become one of the go-tos for when somebody wants to visit Montana. They go see Nikki and they talk to Nikki, and she can help make those connections that are going to make a trip to our state really fruitful and worthwhile for those visitors. Right. And so what a great point. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate you bringing that up.
So, Alli, we're going to go to a break, and I'm going to stop right there because we're just getting started, but you only have about 20 more minutes. So let's go to our break, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. And, folks, you got to have some questions out there for Alli, because this is so important for the future of the state of Montana.
You bet. This is great. And who wouldn't want to talk to a voice like that? I mean, really, come on. Yeah. We're going to come right back. Stay with us. More of Talk Back. Again, a number 721-1290. We're coming right back after this.
With KGRZ Sports, I'm Ace Hourwine with your daily update, brought to you by Republic Services. 2 of the last 3 days now, the Montana Grizzlies have made ESPN Sports Center. Last night, it was Joe Pridgeon making Sports Center's top 10 plays. He earned the number 2 spot from his highlight dunk in the win over Montana Tech back on Tuesday. Joe Pridgeon finished the night with a double-double, 20 points and 10 rebounds. The NFL back in action on Thursday Night Football. It's the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Los Angeles Rams. You can find the game on Amazon Prime Video. The 49ers are 6-7 in desperate need of a win to keep their playoff hopes alive. The Niners host the 7-6 Rams tonight. San Francisco favored by 3 points. And lastly, this day in Grizz history, Montana defeated Appalachian State in the 2009 FCS semifinal to advance to the championship game. That's a look at sports. I'm Ace.
Missoula. Hi, I'm Kim Holderness.
And I'm Penn Holderness. You don't have to have an amazing race to the doctor, but you should make time for routine cancer screenings.
I schedule my mammogram and other cancer screenings around my birthday and then treat myself to lunch.
I do too, because, of course, everyone likes lunch.
The C word can be scary, but routine screenings can detect cancer before symptoms appear.
And early detection equals better outcomes.
Go to preventcancer.org to find out which cancer screenings you need.
Thinking about retirement? Make sure a My Social Security account is a part of your plan. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can find out if you're eligible to receive benefits, compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates, view spousal benefit estimates, and more. Plan for your future. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
We are back on Talkback. 721-1290 is the number. And our guest on the phone right now is Alli DePuy, and she is CEO of Inspired Classroom. Bob Seidenschwarz joining us, Montana World Affairs Council on the radio. And we're right knee-deep in what you folks do.
Yeah.
And I know you're having a ball talking about it. But we'd love some input from our listeners. If you have a question or comment, phone lines are open at 721-1290.
I feel like the proud dad here watching the kids grow up. This has been great. Alli, when we're talking about the teachers and curriculum, you can't just go introduce a program and say, look, we got this great idea. You guys, it meets the state requirements, but nobody explains, well, how do you actually put that together in the form of an acceptable curriculum that would meet the requirements of the state? How do you teach it? What are the resources that you have access to? And then I would like you to give some background and feedback from what you're actually hearing from the students and teachers that have participated in this. And tell us a little bit about what students are telling us that they're concerned about in terms of their future and how they see the opportunities and, in some cases, what they're worried about. You're on, Alli.
Oh, sorry.
So
go ahead, Alli.
That is no worries. That's a great question. So whenever we look at any programming, we need to start and we need to look at the teachers. They're a very, very critical point in this whole system. And we also need to look at it from the perspective that teachers are doing so much on a daily basis and do not have time, a lot of time, to spend understanding, developing, and creating something brand new in their classroom. And if what we are asking teachers to do is so complicated that it's going to take away from their teaching time, then they're not going to participate. And so one of the ways that we have really overcome that hurdle is through the development of the EconoQuest platform. And so my company, Inspired Classroom, maybe 7 years ago, saw the need for more of a learning management system that would work within the school setting. And so we developed one. And we provide all the resources for teachers. And so a teacher can take a look at this and they can say, I already know a little bit about this subject. I just need these resources, or I'm coming from absolutely zero knowledge. I need all the resources. With that, we provide flexibility in the programming, because I don't want to come into your classroom and tell you how to teach, because you are an expert teacher. What I want to do is give you a framework that you can use in your classroom. And so with that, there's a dashboard for students. There's a dashboard for teachers. We set these experiences up so that they are step by step. So if you have a group of students, maybe that have finished their work and need something extra, you can hand it to them. They can get going and working on it. If you want to use it whole class, easy peasy. There's a way to do it that way. If you've got a club that's interested in participating, they can participate. So we've really made it flexible with all the resources and all the materials. It's also really great because the students aren't wildly Googling and going down rabbit holes that might take them into a different direction. We have lots of really solid, reputable resources from our partners and organizations, both within the state of Montana and then also national partners as well. And because of this, we find that teachers aren't afraid to use it. Even if it's the first time, they can jump right in. We also provide support. You can call anytime. In fact, after this phone call, I'm speaking with a teacher in Belgrade, Montana, about one of our programs just to answer their questions. So again, I'm just going to come back to relationships, knowing what your client needs, and our end client being the teachers and the students in this particular situation, what they need and what's going to work for them.
Alli,
I hope that answers that question.
No, it does. And I want to add something to that. If anybody's listening, they may be asking a question, well, is this some form of indoctrination? Are you pushing a certain type of agenda? And absolutely not. I will say, and this comes from my own personal opinion, when I was thinking about EconoQuest and coming up with the parameters about how this fits into the different categories we're describing here, this very much also helps educate students to the system that makes the United States very unique in terms of its economic system, some of its challenges, some of its great opportunities, so that we're helping them really get a real in-depth look at what the world is doing and how this world, right in their own backyard, is something that they will be participating in very short order.
You know, that's so true. And another sort of tenet of what we do is we really want to have student-driven learning. And we make these opportunities while we have step-by-step processes. Within those processes, the students are making decisions for themselves. And it almost becomes a choose-your-own-adventure type situation for these students. And that is part of what is so engaging. So a student can build a replica of Big Bud, or they can dive deep into the world of the outdoor economy and fly fishing. It doesn't matter, because what ultimately they're doing is they're just understanding how the world works, what economics brings to the table, and what industries are in Montana and how Montana is actually a world player. And those are those overarching goals that were set by the organizations at the very beginning. And how do we know it's working? How do we know that this is successful? Several schools have adopted this for all of their students. So all of their students are now going through this learning experience. Some of the schools are hosting mini EconoQuests prior to our EconoQuest, so that every single student in the school has an opportunity to create a project and present that project. So we're really seeing that. We've got Ambassador Richard Boucher, who you mentioned maybe before 2 breaks ago. Bring it back to him. He is an incredible human, but also very knowledgeable in the realm of economics, worked for many years in the field. He has decided to come every year to support the program. He drives out from Washington, D.C., and stays for a week, speaks with students, speaks at the program, does school visits, and has just become very integral to how we run this program. And so feedback like that is very exciting for us.
Well, Alli, with that, we're up against our final break. The phone lines are still open, by the way. If you have a question or comment, 721-1290 is our number. Alli DePuy is our guest. She is CEO of Inspired Classroom, the special guest of Bob Seidenschwarz with the Montana World Affairs Council. We're coming back after this 1-minute timeout. We're back on Talkback. Just a few precious minutes left with Alli DePuy, CEO of Inspired Classroom. Bob Seidenschwarz joining us here in the studio. I was just remarking that this has got to be so cool for kids, especially in some of the far-flung areas of Montana who kind of feel forgotten sometimes, to think, this, I am just as vital to what may be happening with Montana businesses going forward than anybody else in a larger city.
Yeah, and Peter, I'm going to pose a question quickly to Alli here, but we have worked for years to get more participation from the Native American students.
Right.
And we are now seeing several schools coming. But part of that is we have to be able to provide financial support. So we have partners that are giving scholarships so that these kids can travel and have a place to stay when they come here. And we have found that's one of the big challenges about taking this far-flung state and being able to bring it together. Alli, give us some testimonials that you're hearing from the students and the teachers and some of our illustrious government officials.
I will. Well, thank you so much. And I thank you for mentioning that too, Bob. These programs that for students are 100% free. There's no registration cost. All meals, lodging, substitute, and transportation is covered by the council and by partners. So if anybody out there thinks what we're doing is great, call Bob.
Give me, yes.
In touch with.
Yep, happy to talk to you.
Sorry, I had to plug it.
No. That's yeah, you're good.
Well, it's funny that you would say that, and I actually, as we were thinking about some of those testimonials, I pulled up a few quotes, and so we always ask. We have surveys at the end of any program that we do, both student and educators, and I have a couple that I can just read very quickly. So I have a teacher from Harlem High School, and she says that taking my students to EconoQuest has opened my eyes as a teacher to how powerful the skills at this event help students, not only in school, but in their future lives. Knowing about jobs in Montana and meeting leaders and CEOs of these businesses is an opportunity to help grow our future Montana economy. So that's what our teachers are saying about it. And what are our students saying? EconoQuest always opens my eyes both to the past and future, helping me build my perception of the world. It truly is a life-changing experience full of amazing people and fantastic educational opportunities. And so that's from a student in Montana. We get great feedback. I also work with a group of students that volunteers their time to tell me what I did wrong, because I want to know how can we make this better? What was boring? What was exciting? What was easy to understand? What was more complicated? And so every year we go through that process, and I'll often tell my clients, Bob, that as soon as you put a program on the shelf and say it's finished, then it's out of date. I want to keep iterating and making these programs better, because every year it's a new group of students, it's often new teachers, and there's new perspectives and new events happening in the world that we want to bring into these programs so that the relevance is always there. And so I think that's a big part.
Alli, and I'm going to add a testimonial from a parent who came up to me after the event was over and said, my daughter has been kind of more along the track, and our listeners, I think, will love this, kind of like a socialist, we need to change our system here. She goes, after attending and listening and having conversation, she's really kind of rethinking her viewpoints. And Mom was kind of like, oh, thank you. It's just, and there could be moments that go the other way too, but it really does give at least perspective to help see, as you described so wonderfully, the world in a different light. So, Alli, as we're starting to wrap this up.
Got about 3 minutes.
Yeah, and we're thinking about what we've achieved and yet what needs to be done. It also occurs to me that we're being watched by other communities and other states, not just in Montana, but outside of Montana. I've always envisioned this as a prototype that can be adopted by many others. So, are you seeing a little bit of that starting to happen?
Well, without sharing anything that's not firm or in contractual writing yet, yes, we are. We are starting to see other states that are very interested in this, and it's. I think part of it is the relevance of the content, as well as the connection to all those different sectors that we're bringing together in a way that is digestible for students and for teachers. And people are really excited about this. And so it's going to be something to look for in the coming years, and it might become at least in the school realm, more of a household name. So we're really excited about that.
If people want to get more information about this, Rosie, real quick, I'm sorry, Allie, where do we go?
Oh my gosh, we'll go to the Montana World Affairs Council website, which is montanaworldaffairs.org. And not only will you find information about EconoQuest, but you'll see information about speaker series and programs for adults and how you can engage with the council. You'll see our next student program is International Careers Week, where we bring 20 speakers virtually into schools to talk about their college career pathways or high school career pathways and how they are working on an international scale. We reach probably about 3,000 students during that week. We also have Academic World Quest coming up, which this is our 20th year, and this was the program that really put the Montana World Affairs Council on the map with schools. This is, like I said, the 20th anniversary, and this year we are highlighting Indigenous cultures in Montana and around the world as
fantastic
for this year's conference. Yeah.
Well, Allie, it's been a delight. Thank you for sharing all this with us. We appreciate it, ma'am. It's good to talk with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on this morning.
It's our pleasure.
Take care, Allie.
Thank you, Bob. All right. Always
my pleasure.
a pleasure having you in the studio, sir. We appreciate it. And so, Mr. Nick, what's coming up on tomorrow's fabulous program, sir?
Yeah, we're back to being 2-hour shows on Friday. And so for the first hour, we're going to have Attorney General Austin Knudsen on the phone. And then from 9 to 10, we'll have City Talk. Jenny will bring a special guest.
All right. So there you go. An opportunity for all sorts of things with the Attorney General. He loves taking your phone calls, by the way, on Talkback. He loves talking with you folks. And, of course, on City Talk, we have items that are really, really important. And Jenny always brings a great guest from the city of Missoula. So get out there and enjoy this. It's beautiful winter's day. Not much snow yet, but I guess some's coming. Have yourself a wonderful day, and please drive safely.